And action. We're back again. We are here for part 2 of our Antarctica destination feature on 26.2 Adventures, a Channel 7 Continents production. And this time, last time, if you missed it, pause, go watch the first episode. We talked all things Antarctica, what it's like to get there, what are the things you can do once you are there. But this time we are talking running a marathon in Antarctica. And our dear friend Kelly here has done it not once, but twice. So she has all the insider facts about what this race is like, and we are going to dive right in and find out a little bit from her what her experiences were.
Just traveling to Antarctica, I think it's good that we talked about the destination because it's such a beautiful place to travel to regardless of any event. But then being able to run in this pristine environment. So yeah, I feel very lucky to have been able to go there and run.
Okay, so first step is, you can't really know what it's going to be like unless you've been there, but how do you try to prepare? What is the packing list like? What kind of things did you do to kind of just get a little bit of experience of what it may be like before you went down there?
Yeah, so typically this would be great because I live in Boston and it's, training through winter can be really cold. So that's fantastic. But this race was in November. So it was kind of summer training and I was hoping for a couple really cold days before I went down there. I do think, people coming from more warmer environments like Arizona or Florida have it a little bit harder. So if there's a way to kind of get some cold weather training or to get into an environment that at least exposes you to that so you know what to wear, because that's the second thing, like having gear that is efficient and warm, but also wicking is hugely important, and layering.
You don't want to go down there thinking you're running in this like nice fuzzy puffy coat and your long socks and things like that. You want some really technical, efficient cold weather gear that's not going to weigh you down or be bulky or things like that.
Yeah, and it doesn't have to break the bank. The goggles that I'm actually wearing are what I wore. And they have little vents actually to help with fogging and to give a little air in there. But that was key. Balaclava, I think that's how you say it, for your face. And then one that allows you to breathe in and out because, it gets wet and then it freezes right away because it's so cold. Yeah. So you want to make sure you have like a couple of those because you can trade them in and out. I use Segoy tights that are lined, so that, and then an outer layer. Hand warmers, 2 layers of mittens, and loose, like keeping them loose. Like my socks and my shoes were like a half size bigger. So that I could, there was space in there for my feet to wiggle around. They weren't restricted. And there's a fine balance between all of this. Like there's a fine balance between the layers. There's a fine balance between you want your shoes to be a little bit big, but not too big. You don't want blisters, you don't want your feet coming out of it. And then I didn't use yak tracks. The ground there is, you are running on ice and you are running in the snow, but you didn't necessarily need yak tracks. I went with a pair of Sauconys that had tread on the bottom, kind of like sandpaper. Okay. And that worked.
All right. You trained, you're packed up, you get down there. This is not your typical marathon where you go to a nice expo, you have a pasta dinner, you get your bib, your packet, all of that stuff. You're in Antarctica. What is it like when you get there and it's, the day before race?
Right. And I think the key thing is in any of these exotic destinations is you just have to go with the flow, the timeline, the spontaneity. Everybody meets in Punta Arenas, and the first thing you realize is that the weather is going to dictate when you leave. So that could be, you're scheduled to leave the next day and they're like, hey, we're leaving in 3 hours. Okay. Or hey, we can't get in for a week. They use meteorologists to look at windows of opportunity for us to land the plane. And once there is that window of opportunity, it's like go time. Like it could be 1 a.m. and they're like, all right, everybody up in the hotel, we're going to the airport. And then you get on this military plane, you land on this ice runway. The expo. Yes. So the check-in is like the day before. So everybody meets in Punta Arenas. We are at the hotel together. The race director, Richard Donovan, puts on like a welcome, and you get, your gear, your shirts. He introduces everyone. He goes over the logistics. You have to meet about safety and protocols and security and flights. And you go over, you have a couple days of mandatory like logistics because you just want to make sure everybody's safe and we're all doing the right thing. Yeah. So then you land and we stay in tents. They're solar heated by the light. It's 24 hours of daylight. They're little like cocoons. You have a roommate. Like my friend was from Ireland and we were just so, I think, mesmerized. And then the race. So they look at the weather again and it can be anytime. It has a particular start and it has a course, but if the weather's gusting, it's too many knots. So like for my race, it was too many knots. So they had to pull in. We couldn't do 2 loops. We had to do 4 smaller loops.
So a looped course, whether it's larger loops or smaller loops, you don't know, but a looped course on icy snow terrain. Is it relatively flat?
Yes, the course is flat. What you're combating mostly is wind gusts, snow flurries, the cold.
Each time you come in for a loop, you can kind of like regroup at this aid station, try to maybe swap out your buff, get a little bit of warm water, get some fuel, then head back out. So that's kind of like during the race. And what Kelly would probably not like to mention is that she happened to have won this race in the women's field.
There were like 10 of us.
It's still a win. It's still a win.
It is the only tape I've ever broken, and probably, yes, is the only tape I will ever break.
How amazing that, you're out there doing this looped course in the freezing cold, snowy wind, and then you come to the finish line and you see that tape there and you get to break it. How awesome.
It was unforgettable because for me, it was also the finish of my 7th continent. I had been waiting a long time to do that. So I was doubly blessed that day.
Okay, so you cross the finish line. Amazing. But now what? You want to go get warm? You want to eat?
Yeah, yes, you want to go get warm.
The champagne is frozen. Like, what happens?
We all went in to celebrate. And what saved me was hot chicken broth in that tent. I think I slurped down like 2 cups of that stuff, which sounds gross right now, but it was so cold. It was really fun. And there's no, like, the sun never goes down. So the party was like, I think we were like all up and we're like, oh, it's like 2 a.m.
What time is it?
It was great. It's such a unique event. It's so fun. It's so intimate. It's really well organized. And it's just so beautiful to run where it's all white and so quiet and have this camaraderie with the people you're with. Having this really epic experience. I think on the first 2 laps, I was crying just because it was happening and like couldn't believe it. And then maybe the 3rd lap, I was crying because I was in a lot of pain, lonely and cold. And then the 4th lap, just unbelievable. I think it's just such an unbelievable destination as well, but like it's possible and it's attainable. And if we can help get you there or tell you about it, or if it's in your dream, like, you should ask us about it.
Absolutely. So like Kelly said, if you have any questions about Antarctica in general, traveling there, running a marathon there, please reach out, leave us a comment, send us a message, send us an email, and we will be sure to share all of the information and help you get there if that's something that is on your bucket list. We all have dreams, and those dreams will still be there when we all can travel again. So make sure that you're taking action to make it happen. Thank you for joining us on this part 2 of Antarctica Adventure. Next time will be a whole other destination, so stay tuned for that. We hope you enjoyed this episode of 26.2 Adventures. Bye.